And I've been trying to tell these guys that you got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get. When certain stuff just don't weigh up, it's a mandatory 1-year sentence when you just get.
Fetty Wap walked out the feds January 8, 2026, after serving only 3 years on a 6-year drug trafficking sentence. Rumors immediately spread that he snitched to get released early. Now, new footage reveals his ops taking him out. Could it be for cooperating? Was this retaliation? I've got the full story of how it went down. Let's get into it. The release in the cap. Fetty Wap government named Willie. Junior Maxwell, too, walked out the feds on January 78, 2026. Homie got out early. His original out date was supposed to be 2029. But good behavior and federal time credits pushed it all the way up to January 2026. The Bureau of Prisons moved him to community confinement. That's house arrest for y'all who ain't hip. Fetty Wap is now on supervised release until November 2030. 5 years of the feds watching his every move. The terms ain't no joke. The conditions is tight as hell. Random piss tests whenever they feel like it. Can't open no bank accounts without permission. The feds need to see every dollar that touches his hand. No drinking, no nothing that ain't prescribed. Can't just bounce to different states without approval. Gotta check in regular. They might throw an ankle monitor on him. These ain't suggestions from his PO. These federal mandates with real consequences. Violate once and his ass is back in the box immediately. The supervised release is basically still doing time, just not behind the wall. What seems like damn near just a couple of years ago, because it was. Holy smokes, we seen 4 letters pop up. This one, home. That's from his official page. Then he goes on to write this. I want to thank my family, friends, and fans for the love, prayers, and continued support. It truly means everything to me. Right now, the homie posted home on his IG story, then dropped a statement. My focus is on giving back through my community initiatives and foundations supporting at-risk young children by expanding access to education, early tech skills, and vision care for young kids and students so they can show up as their best selves. I'm committed to moving forward with purpose and making a meaningful impact where it matters most. Video clips hit the internet January 8th afternoon showing Fetty getting welcomed back to the block. Mad people showed up, family day ones, supporters all pulled up in Jersey. The most viral clip showed a whole mob giving him a standing ovation. Everybody going crazy, clapping, folks screaming 1738 like it was 2015 again. These were celebration videos, real ones, showing love to somebody who'd been gone for a minute. The footage was clear. No smoke, no beef, just people happy their mans made it home. How he ended up in the feds. It's important to understand how Fetty caught his case in the first place. The road started way before his January 2026 release. The path from platinum-selling artist to federal inmate involved decisions, circumstances, and consequences, but played out over years. Fetty got knocked in October 2021 at Citi Field in New York. The timing wasn't random. The feds chose it deliberately. He was supposed to perform at Rolling Loud NYC that day, one of the biggest hip-hop festivals in the world. Thousands of fans were waiting to see him hit the stage. Federal agents arrested him, along with 5 other people, in an indictment that got unsealed in Queens. The public nature of the arrest sent a clear message. Federal authorities wanted maximum visibility for this bust. They wanted the hip-hop world to see what happens when fame and drug trafficking collide. He was arrested yesterday at Citi Fields. It was during a music festival in the afternoon before he performed. He's one of 6 indicted for conspiracy to distribute more than 100 kilograms of controlled substances on Long Island and in New Jersey. And those arrested also include a New Jersey correction officer. Officials say Fetty and others involved distributed deadly and addictive drugs, including heroin and fentanyl on Long Island, deliberate lack contrib to the opioid epidemic. Prosecutors said he was part of a bi-coastal drug operation that moved work from California to New Jersey and Long Island. The operation ran from June 2019 to June 2020. The organization allegedly pushed over 100 kgs of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack. That's major weight. The multi-million-dollar drug distribution used Suffolk County as their home base. We're told the defendants would get drugs on the West Coast and use the U.S. Postal Service and drivers with hidden compartments, too. Transport the drugs across the country to Suffolk County, where they were stored. Fetty Wap's role, according to officials, a kilogram-level redistributor for the trafficking organization. The federal investigation went on for months. This wasn't no traffic stop gone wrong. This wasn't a surprise raid. The Fetty Wap didn't get picked up by the police. He got picked up by the feds. And when the feds show up, that mean the case been done for a minute. That wasn't no traffic stop or no random raid. That was a long play. They had the phones tapped. They had people talking. They had routes mapped. They had numbers counted. As part of the investigation, the feds recovered about $1.5 million in cash, coke, dope, fentanyl pills, straps, and ammunition. The operation was moving serious weight. This wasn't small-time corner boy activity. This was organized distribution running across state lines. At first, Fetty Wap posted bail. He got out pending trial, but his freedom didn't last long. In August 2022, they yanked his bail. The reason: he allegedly threatened to murk somebody during a FaceTime call, violating his release conditions. The details were damaging as hell. Reports said he flashed a gun during the call. He called someone a rat. The implication was obvious. He was threatening somebody he thought had cooperated with the feds. Federal judges don't play that while defendants are out on bail. Threatening witnesses or potential cooperators is one of the quickest ways to lose your freedom. It shows you're a danger to the community and that you don't respect the judicial process. He CPPED out in August 2022 to one count of conspiracy to distribute and possess controlled substances, specifically at least 500 grams of blow. The charge carried a mandatory minimum of 5 years. The guilty plea was strategic, but the judges stop playing. The deals get ugly and time starts stacking. And Fetty Wap knew what time it was. Before the jury ever heard underscore, he pled guilty. That ain't a flex. That's straight up calculation. That's the evidence ugly and try to limit the damage. The feds don't bluff when it comes to that fee ball either. Fentanyl changed the whole game. When federal cases involve fent, judges come down harder. The opioid crisis created a zero-tolerance environment in federal courts. Tens of thousands of people are dying every year from fentanyl overdoses. The drug is way more potent than heroin. A tiny amount can kill you. Dealers moving fent are viewed as directly contributing to mass death. Defense attorneys struggle to get favorable deals when fentanyl is in the paperwork. Just seeing that word triggers harsher treatment. Fetty underscore and his lawyers knew what was up. His attorneys surely broke down the landscape for him. Fighting the charges meant risking way more time if he got convicted at trial. Federal prosecutors win like 90% of cases that go to trial. When they got wiretaps, financial records, physical evidence, and cooperating witnesses, that percentage is basically 100%. Pleading guilty let him accept responsibility, potentially get a small reduction for that acceptance, and avoid the risk of a sentence twice as long if he got found guilty at trial. The decision was pragmatic, not noble. This wasn't somebody screaming they innocent. This was somebody calculating the odds and minimizing the damage. In federal court, that's often the smartest move available to defendants facing overwhelming evidence. Sentencing came down on May 24, 2023 in Central Islip, New York. A judge gave him 6 years in prison plus 5 years of supervised release. He'd already been locked up since August 2022, so that time counted toward his sentence. Prosecutors tried to use his own bars against him during sentencing. They referenced Trap Queen, arguing it showed his long-term involvement in the drug game. The judge considered his remorse and family responsibilities, but still gave him the 6-year bid. He got out because federal math kicked in. Time served. Good time. BOP credits. That's how the Fed time worked. Now he's home. But the argument is just starting. Some people are saying, should he pay his debt? Let him live. Others said, no. Hold on. We need to dig a little bit deeper on here. Fetty Wap did his time at the Federal Correctional Institution, FCI Sandstone in Minnesota. From getting locked up in August 2022 to getting released in January 2026. He did about 3 years and 5 months. The federal system allows sentence reductions through good conduct time and participation in programs under the... He's not cooperating with the feds, the attorney stated. The guilty plea was standalone. No testimony against his co-defendants. No paperwork filed for substantial assistance. Fetty Wap is now on house arrest in New Jersey, overseen by the Bureau of Prisons, Philadelphia. Residential Re-Entry Management Office. His full release from confinement is projected for November 8, 2026. Until then, he's still under tight supervision with conditions including random drug testing, having to report all his money moves and restrictions on where he can go and what he can do. The snitch talk and speculation. The early release immediately sparked gossip. Questions hit the timeline heavy. Did Fetty Wap cooperate with the feds? Did he drop paperwork in exchange for less time? Was his freedom bought with testimony against the homies? These questions ain't new in hip-hop. Early releases trigger suspicion automatically. Reduced sentences generate accusations instantly. The label snitch carries devastating weight in street culture and rap communities. Being labeled a rat can destroy credibility, end careers, and create genuine safety issues. The snitch talk started with his guilty plea in August 2022. Some people interpreted the plea as cooperation. The logic seems straightforward to folks who don't know how federal cases work. Why cop out unless you're cutting a deal? Why admit guilt unless you're giving up information? This interpretation shows misunderstanding of how federal criminal procedure actually operates. But federal guilty pleas don't automatically mean cooperation. The reasons for pleading guilty are numerous and often got nothing to do with snitching on others. Many defendants plead guilty because the evidence against them is overwhelming and undeniable. When prosecutors got wiretaps showing you discussing drug transactions, surveillance footage showing you meeting with co-conspirators, financial records showing unexplained cash flow, and testimony from multiple witnesses, placing you at the center of operations, fighting the charges becomes pointless. Fetty Wap's attorney explicitly said in 2022 that he wasn't cooperating. He's not cooperating with the feds. The lawyer emphasized the plea was standalone. Fetty admitted to distributing 500 g of cocaine. He didn't testify against his co-defendants. He didn't provide substantial assistance. He didn't receive a cooperation discount on his sentence. The 6-year sentence backs this up. Federal cooperation cases typically result in dramatic sentence reductions. Defendants who provide substantial assistance to prosecutors often get sentences way below mandatory minimums. They testify at trials. They provide information that leads to more arrests. In exchange, prosecutors file motions for downward departures. Fetty got 6 years. The mandatory minimum for his charge was 5 years. His sentence was barely above the floor. If he had cooperated meaningfully, his sentence would likely have been significantly lower. The modest 1-year increase above the mandatory minimum suggests standard sentencing, not cooperation credit. After he touched down, speculation went crazy. Social media exploded with questions. Exposers posted variations of, "Did Fetty _snitch?" The early release seems suspicious to some folks. How does somebody serve only 3 years of a 6-year sentence without dropping dimes? The answer is federal math. Good conduct time and First Step Act credits are standard mechanisms. They apply to all federal inmates who meet eligibility criteria, participating in programs, maintaining a clean disciplinary record, and completing educational courses generate credits. These credits accumulate systematically. They're not rewards for cooperation. They're incentives for positive behavior during incarceration. Other voices defended Fetty Wap. An excess user posted, "No _ the streets, no snitching allegations." Fetty Wap should be a role model. The sentiment reflected appreciation that Fetty did his time without making public declarations about the streets, without accusations flying everywhere, without the typical drama surrounding high-profile releases. Reddit discussions broke down the distinction between snitching and self-preservation. One thread noted, "Snitching is saving your own ass." Surprised he got only 6 years. The comment reflected understanding that pleading guilty to reduce risk is different from actively cooperating against others. It's strategic calculation, not betrayal. No new evidence has emerged to support snitch allegations. Court documents don't show cooperation agreements. Prosecutors didn't file substantial assistance motions. Co-defendants' cases proceeded without apparent impact from Fetty Wap's testimony. The judicial record shows a straightforward guilty plea and standard sentencing. But paranoia ain't evidence. Suspicion ain't proof. The documented facts show Fetty Wap pleaded guilty, did most of his bid, earned standard credits, and got early release through established federal programs. This ain't an unusual pattern. This happens regularly in the federal system. Now, we was in a shop talking about the Fetty Wap case out of New Jersey. If 5 man's on a case outside of him, a conspiracy. He already had a domestic violence and a DV. And it was 220 ground of age and 10 pounds of fence and also deceit. And this man got a sentence of 6 years. That's highly unlikely for a man to get that much less time for that amount of illegal substance in the federal system unless he working. That's impossible. This perspective circulated on social media. The argument, given the quantity of drugs involved, 6 years seems light. Therefore, cooperation must have occurred. But this logic ignores sentencing guidelines, plea negotiations, and the difference between charged quantities and proven quantities. Federal sentencing operates on a guideline system. Judges consider multiple factors: criminal history, acceptance of responsibility, role in the offense, quantity of drugs. Fetty Wap had limited prior criminal history. He pleaded guilty, demonstrating acceptance of responsibility. While the overall conspiracy involved 100 kilograms, his personal responsibility charge involved 500 grams of cocaine. The sentencing calculation focused on his specific conduct, not the entire organization's activity. When Ian tell the guys that you've got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get when certain stuff just don't weigh up. It's a mandatory unnear sentence when you just got $5 worth of stuff. So you get anything over 5 grams is a mandatory 5-year sentence in a federal system. So how do a person get 5 years, 6 years when it mandatory 5-year 415 gram? It's impossible. The confusion stems from misunderstanding federal sentencing. The 5-year mandatory minimum applied to his charge. He got 6 years, which is 1 year above that minimum. This ain't suspicious. This is standard. Judges routinely sentence defendants slightly above mandatory minimums based on guideline calculations. The 1-year increase likely reflected his specific role and circumstances. If Fetty Wap had cooperated, his sentence would have been dramatically below 5 years. Cooperation cases see sentences of 2 years, 3 years, even time served. 6 years indicates no cooperation discount. The snitch allegations persist in echo chambers. Social media amplifies speculation, but amplification don't create truth. The documented record contradicts cooperation theories. His attorney denied cooperation. Prosecutors didn't file cooperation motions. The sentence reflects standard calculations. Co-defendants' cases showed no impact from his testimony because there was no testimony. Fetty came home without snitch allegations dominating the narrative. This is relatively rare in high-profile cases. Usually, accusations fly immediately. Everyone claims someone else cooperated. The absence of widespread credible accusations suggests the rumors lack foundation. He appears focused on moving forward. His statement emphasized community work, family, and making a meaningful impact. These ain't the words of someone worried about street credibility challenges. These are the words of someone trying to rebuild a life after serious consequences, real threats, and past beef. Beyond fabricated death hoaxes and unfounded snitch talk lies a more complex question. Does Fetty Wap face genuine threats now that he's home? Understanding this requires examining his history in the rap game, past beefs, and the current state of his relationships. No credible reports of threats have emerged since he touched down on January 7, 2026. Searches for death threats in 2026 only pulled up references to his 2022 threat against someone he called a snitch, which got his bail yanked. But that was Fetty making threats, not receiving them. His past got conflicts in it. Back in 2017, tensions in his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, escalated heavy. A rat beef exploded into gunfire. The incident involved Raheem Foos Thomas, who was connected to a shooting related to Fetty Wap. Violence stemming from local rivalries, street conflicts that predated his legal troubles. These conflicts were serious, real violence, real consequences, but they happened years ago. Since then, the players' lives have changed. Fetty spent years locked up. Others moved on, caught their own cases, or shifted focus. The beefs appear dormant now. Past business disputes also exist. P-Dice, a collaborator, filed a lawsuit over royalties. Financial disagreements. Where is the video of him going to see his kids? Harsh words, public call-outs. But these are verbal spats over co-parenting responsibilities, not physical threats. The distinction matters. Family conflict about child support and parenting involvement creates stress and public embarrassment. But it typically don't translate to violence. These are women demanding accountability for their children, not rivals planning attacks. Social media criticism emerged, focused on his drug-ding past. One ex-user posted, "He's the reason the youth is dying," critiquing his involvement in pushing Fent. This is moral condemnation, not a direct threat. People expressing anger about the harm caused by drug trafficking. Legitimate criticism of somebody who participated in distributing deadly substances. If genuine threats existed, they would likely surface on social media. X, Instagram, and other platforms serve as spaces where conflicts become public. Rivals issue warnings. Opps make statements. The digital landscape reveals tensions before they escalate physically. Searches for threats against Fetty Wap return celebration posts, family drama, and general criticism, but no explicit dangers. TMZ's coverage of his release focused entirely on logistics and future plans. No mention of security concerns, no discussion of protective measures. The NY Post article similarly covered only the mechanics of his early release and home confinement conditions. If major outlets suspected genuine threats, their reporting would reflect those concerns. The welcome home videos showed large crowds, open celebrations, public gatherings. If Fetty feared for his safety, such public displays would be risky. The fact that he appeared comfortable in those settings suggests he don't perceive immediate danger. His team wouldn't have organized such visible events if they believed threats were imminent. Some ex-users expressed that Fetty Wap's release was caused for celebration, not conflict. One post noted standing ovations upon release. The sentiment reflected respect for someone who did their time without creating drama. In street culture, how you carry yourself during your bid matters. Fetty did his time quietly. He didn't make loud proclamations. He didn't generate additional conflict while locked up. This approach earns a degree of respect. It don't guarantee safety, but it reduces tension. People who maintain composure during legal troubles and avoid escalating conflicts often come home with less hostility awaiting them. The career collapse and what's next. Fetty Wap's legal troubles happened against the backdrop of a career that had already flatlined. Understanding his current position requires examining how his music trajectory collapsed before his arrest. In 2015, Fetty was everywhere. Trap Queen dominated everything. The track peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. It spawned countless remixes and covers. The melodic trap style he pioneered influenced an entire wave of artists. He followed with 6x79 and My Way. Multiple bangers in rapid succession. He got nominated for 2 Grammys. His debut album went platinum. Then it stopped. His music went quiet. It went straight up. It just nobody was listening to that underscore no more. The hit stopped. The buzz dried up. The sound moved on. But by the time he touched the cell, Fetty wasn't even competing with no new rappers. His ass was already done. So really, he's competing with his own self. So prison, don't pause your music career like we always see. It does erase a little bit of momentum. But the algorithm don't care about your case. Playlist don't care about your struggle, and nostalgia only goes so far. His assessment was harsh, but reflected a common perception. Fetty underscore had hits, but he never locked in as a long-term top-tier artist. He had a moment, a brief window of dominance, but he couldn't sustain it. By the time he got knocked in 2021, his music career had already faded significantly. Why did it collapse? Multiple factors. The sound that made him famous became oversaturated. Other artists adopted similar melodic trap styles. The market moved on to new trends. Fetty underscore didn't evolve quickly enough to stay relevant. His subsequent releases failed to recapture the magic of Trap Queen. Personal struggles also played a role. He dropped the Butterfly Effect mixtape in 2021 dedicated to his 4-year-old daughter who passed away in June of that year from cardiac arrhythmia. Devastating loss. Grief impacts creativity and focus. While some artists channel pain into powerful music, others struggle to maintain momentum through tragedy. Expos during the pandemic noted Fetty Wap's situation as a cautionary tale. The pandemic shut down live performances, a crucial revenue stream for artists. Touring makes money. Streaming pays relatively little. Artists who depend on performance income suffered heavy during lockdowns. If Fetty Wap's music sales had already declined, losing touring income would have created severe financial pressure. This context makes his return to the drug game comprehensible, though not excusable. Now he faces the challenge of rebuilding from an even weaker position. So the real question ain't about jail. It's about what's next. Do y'all think Fetty can come home and shake it up again? Or is this one of them times where the streets still respect you, but the gang already moved on? Is this a comeback waiting to happen? Or is the closure for a run that already ended? The music industry is unforgiving. 3 years away is an eternity. Trends change. New artists emerge. Audiences move on. Streaming algorithms favor recent releases and active promotion. An artist who disappears for 3 years faces an uphill battle to regain relevance. Nostalgia provides some foundation. Trap Queen remains a cultural touchstone. People remember 2015. They remember the feeling of that era. But nostalgia alone generates sustainable careers. Oh, listen, man, listen. Shout out to Fetty Wap, bro. Shout out to him. You know, me personally on the music tip, I don't necessarily think it's over. But I think if he tries to go back and recreate that sound, I think that's going to be gone. He can add elements of that underscore, but the question is, who's going to embrace him? Who is good enough in the rap game to embrace him? Because if I'm Drake, Iceman ain't came out yet. Get Fetty Wap on the hook on the beginning song. Fetty Wap, you know what to do. First Down the Feds Part 2. The breakdown suggests a path forward. Fetty underscore can't simply recreate Trap Queen. That moment passed. But he could incorporate elements of his signature sound into something new. The challenge is finding collaborators willing to work with him. Will established artists feature him? Will producers invest in his projects? Will labels sign him? His legal history complicates these questions. Some artists and labels avoid working with people fresh out of the feds. The stigma, the restrictions, the potential complications all create hesitance. Others may see it differently. Some respect that he did his time. Some may view him as someone with a story to tell. We don't give a damn about your personal life, bro. We don't. We care about a time in our personal life when your music hit for us and created a moment. And then we listen to it, and now we get nostalgic about it. We care about growth in your music. We don't give a underscore about you, the person. You don't give a underscore about us. You care about providing what the fans or people who support your music like, and the fans and supporters care about the music. That's the problem with these entertainers, because not one point in time do y'all sit up here and really give back. Hell no, y'all don't. Y'all get sponsors. Y'all get people to help out. Not saying that you should spend your own cash. This perspective reflects a brutal truth. Fans care about music, not personal redemption stories. Fetty Wap's statement about community work and helping youth is admirable. But it don't automatically translate to music sales or streaming numbers. People will support his music if they vibe with the music. His personal growth matters to him and his family, but the market operates on different principles. The criticism highlights discomfort with celebrating someone whose wealth came partially from pushing work. Fetty wasn't just using drugs. He was distributing them. The operation involved over 100 kilograms of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and crack. Fent has devastated communities. Tens of thousands of people die every year from fentanyl overdoses. Celebrating someone who contributed to that crisis feels wrong to many. Fetty Wap must create music that justifies attention. Nostalgia provides a temporary platform. Curiosity about his return will generate initial interest. But sustaining a career requires delivering songs people actually want to hear repeatedly. Can he do that? The answer remains unknown.